Um, I the stream's not working on YouTube, like at all. So I don't know what to do here. YouTube's working for y'all? It doesn't look to be working at all for me. It says stream health says poor on YouTube and not working, like at all. Like it's not working at all. And it's super slow on Twitch as well. So I don't know. I don't know if I just don't have the Okay, so we're live, I guess, as far as like I just can't watch my stream for some reason. Is that what's going on? It's fine on here. It just seems to be... Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. Hold on. Do I have exit lag on right now? No. Okay, I don't. Okay, I have no idea. All of YouTube is slow. Okay. Well, everybody head on over to Twitch if you can't see here. Which all the streams are moving over to Twitch anyways, so whatever, okay? We're on the tail end of ever streaming on YouTube ever again, to be honest with you guys. So there's only going to be clips over here. So for streaming, I'm moving over to Twitch because I'm so fed up with YouTube's live stream. It's just too much for me, man. Too much. All right. Hello and welcome everybody to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. I go by Blind Run on the internet and Matthew in real life, and today we're going to be talking about why there's been no altcoin season. We're also going to be talking about President Trump's new strategic Bitcoin reserve, as well as apparently here just a second ago, we got an announcement. Where did that one go? I didn't even get it pulled up. Okay. So we did have an announcement as well that there was an executive order overturning from the Biden administration on crypto banking in particular. So I'm going to try to Google that and find that and get that information for you guys as well. I want to welcome everybody to the stream. Thanks for stopping in. We got the Stick Shark in here. Tepper, good to see you. We got the Kielbasa, Manu Legend, Hadriano, Welco, Altrack, Andy, Steven, Straight Jacket. That's a nice name. Standle? So I don't know. Jim, Josh Clements, welcome to the stream. 2720 Crypto, welcome to the stream. Thanks everybody for being here. Yeah, so everything is all thanks to you guys. Thanks for the support over on sonofatech.locals.com. I'm extremely busy this week and I started flaring this weekend, so I really wanted to skip tonight, but unfortunately, like, I got obligations. My editor is fully dependent on me making content, so I am going to make content today and do my best to get through this. So bear with me as I get through it, because it's just been a hectic week. I was pretty much bedridden all weekend, so now we're kind of trying to come out of it, but I get infusions on Wednesday and hopefully everything will be back to normal as soon as that gets in. But that's, who cares? You guys, that's my problem. Let's move on. Let's go ahead and talk about the strategic Bitcoin reserve that got established via the whitehouse.gov specifically, and what they announced on March 6th. And essentially, President Donald J. Trump signed an executive order to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve and U.S. digital asset stockpile, positioning the United States as a leader among nations in government digital asset strategy. The order creates a strategic Bitcoin reserve that will treat Bitcoin as a reserve asset. The strategic Bitcoin reserve will be capitalized with Bitcoin owned by the Department of Treasury that was forfeited as part of a criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceeding. So essentially, all the crypto they stole from people that they called criminals, whether or not those people were actually criminals, they now have in the reserve for the United States. That's the way I see it. But, what am I to say? Who am I supposed to am I supposed to determine who is and who is not a criminal based upon all of this? It's ridiculous. It is kind of funny that we saw the pardoning of the Silk Road creator, and then all of that Bitcoin that was confiscated from that pardon is now in a strategic reserve. So it's just, I don't know, not a big fan. But the United States will not sell Bitcoin deposited into the strategic Bitcoin reserve, which will be maintained as a store of reserve assets. The Secretaries of Treasury and Commerce are authorized to develop budget neutral strategies for acquiring additional Bitcoin, provided that those strategies impose no incremental costs on American taxpayers. It also established a U.S. digital asset stockpile consisting of digital assets other than Bitcoin owned by the Department of Treasury that was forfeited in criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceedings. The government will not acquire additional assets for the U.S. digital asset stockpile beyond those obtained through forfeiture proceedings. The Secretary of the Treasury may determine strategies for responsible stewardship, including potential sales from the U.S. digital asset stockpile. Agencies must provide a full accounting of their digital assets holdings to the Secretary of the Treasury and the President's Working Group on Digital Assets. We had been hearing about all of this here for a while now, so that is what the department's going to be doing. This order ensures a strategic approach to managing digital assets under U.S. control. So this is going to be addressing a crypto management gap. It says Bitcoin, the original cryptocurrency, is referred to as digital gold because of its scarcity and security, having never been hacked. Now, obviously, there's a big contention here, I think, with what the original purpose of Bitcoin was and what it is being slated as, especially as we see it with the strategic reserve. Bitcoin was supposed to be a peer-to-peer monetary system for users to transact without the interference of governments or banks. It was not intended at any point within its creation to be digital gold. And I'll show you guys here in a little bit a post from Satoshi himself addressing if this in particular is going to happen. That's very enlightening. But let's go ahead and get the rest of this out of the way. With a fixed supply of 21 million coins, there's a strategic advantage to being among the first nations to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The United States currently holds a significant amount of Bitcoin, but has not maximized its strategic position as a unique store of value in the global financial system. Premature sales of Bitcoin have already cost U.S. taxpayers over $17 billion US. Now, of course, this was targeted at when Trump was talking about it towards the Biden administration and the sell-off of the Bitcoin. And we have seen other Western nations such as Germany sell off a bunch of their Bitcoin, which was probably ill-advised, right? And thanks for the follow, IT Ninja. The executive order begins to resolve the current disjointed handling of cryptocurrency seized through forfeiture by and scattered across various federal agencies. Currently, no clear policy exists for managing these assets, leading to a lack of accountability and inadequate exploration of options to centralize, secure, or maximize their value. Taking affirmative steps to centralize ownership, control, and management of these assets within the federal government will ensure proper oversight, accurate tracking, and a cohesive approach to managing the government's cryptocurrency holdings. This move harnesses the power of digital assets for national prosperity rather than letting them languish in limbo. They go on to specify delivering on pledge to make America the crypto capital of the world. Now, chat is saying that is what CASP is going to be. I highly disagree. It's still the same thing as Bitcoin as far as a decreasing supply and a maximum cap. It doesn't really matter if it's like Bitcoin or Caspa or anything that has basically a limited supply. the market's going to react to those things similarly, and it'll just be based purely off of demand. Each individual cryptocurrency is only based off of the demand for that cryptocurrency, and that's the way it is. The only ones that are outside of that, as far as like if you're talking about wanting an inflationary asset to mimic that of the dollar, then you would want to look at something like Dogecoin that actually doesn't have a decreasing block reward and is continuously inflationary with its consistent 2,500 block reward. So let's not just make shit up in chat. I'm so tired of that. I'm tired of people trying to pump their shit coin, okay? Look, we're talking about the original purpose of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. If they all act the same, there's not going to be a difference except for in the demand of that cryptocurrency. That's the only difference there, right? We can go into tech and all that for each individual one, but when we're talking about a strategic reserve, that's the concept we're talking about. We're not talking about XRP and Caspa versus, you know, Solana versus blah, blah, blah. We're talking about what they're doing here and how that goes against the actual Bitcoin white paper and why this doesn't actually, I think, won't be as successful as most people think it will be as far as number go up, right? And we're starting to see that too. So President Trump promised to make the United States the crypto capital of the world, emphasizing the need to embrace digital assets to drive economic growth and technological leadership. In his first week in office, President Trump signed an executive order to promote United States leadership in digital assets such as cryptocurrency. President Trump has consistently advocated for a forward-thinking approach to crypto, stating, quote, "I am very positive and open-minded to cryptocurrency companies and all things related to this new and burgeoning industry. Our country must be the leader in the field." President Trump promised to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve and digital assets stockpile. President Trump appointed a crypto czar and is hosting the first ever crypto summit at the White House. Just a few of the many ways this administration is demonstrating a strong commitment to his digital asset. Now, this is all positive from a regulatory perspective, right? And we can see that backed up when they just announced tonight, a couple hours ago, that there's going to be a new executive order that will overturn the Biden administration regulations restricting crypto banking activities. So this will be targeting specifically Operation Choke Point 2.0, and it should result in at least what the Alva app is saying in a greener regulatory landscape for crypto business. Which, or wait, is this the original one? I think this is the original one. Market confidence getting a fresh boost, inviting more investment, possible uptick in institutional participation, and Federal Reserve might need to rethink its digital asset stance and expect market sentiment to gear up. Now, the thing is everybody was expecting the crypto market to essentially get boosted after this, but as you guys can see, we're already below 80,000 US dollars on Bitcoin itself, with a stark decrease in price. And this is happening across the entire market, right? It doesn't matter if it's Solana, it doesn't matter if it's XRP. The only difference here that we really have to pay attention to when we're trying to determine if we are in basically still going to have a lasting bull run or if we're out, right? That's the question everybody has right now. And the good news, I'm going to give you it straight up because everybody wants to hop in. They see the title and they go, oh no, I got to watch a 1 hour, 2 hour show. No, you can just watch this part. Let me tell you what I'm thinking as far as this is concerned. There's a huge thing that hasn't happened yet. Okay. There's a huge thing that hasn't happened yet that's happened in every other previous cycle. And that is multiple cycle alternative cryptocurrencies hitting previous all-time highs. Ethereum has not hit a previous all-time high. You know, the big ones, the only ones that really have, the only one that did really that's notable is like Solana and Caspa, and those are post. Those are single, this is their first cycle, right? So when we're looking at an actual bull run season, you would say that for the bull run to be completely over, you would expect at least one altcoin cycle to take place, and the altcoin cycle has not taken place. So that is good news, right? That means that we could expect to have a few more months. And if we look at the timeline, because pause, everybody wants to start getting really, really dark right now, which has to happen, by the way. But everybody wants to get really dark and grim and say the bull run's over. No, it's not happening. Everything's over. It's the end of the world. Crypto's dead. Blah, blah, blah. Proof of work's dead. Mining's dead. Everything's dead. And the reality is, if we look at previous cycles, we still have 6 to 10 months left in that cycle, right? So the thing is that it appears to be significantly delayed. And that is really an interesting thing that's taking place, because by now we would have expected, at least on these previous all-time highs for Bitcoin, things to transfer over into altcoins, but that is not taking place. But there's reason for that, okay? And here's one of the primary reasons for that. The lightening of regulations surrounding cryptocurrency. My phone's blowing up here. Yeah, so the primary reason for this is actually that we've had lightening regulations surrounding cryptocurrency. And you saw here recently over the past quarter, right? What was happening is people are able to list these assets on their balance sheet, okay? And we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the Crypto Mining Show. The importance to this is that what is happening is that these companies are now able to leverage the current holdings of Bitcoin. So previously what would happen is an institution or a whale in general, it could be a retail whale as well, to transfer into the altcoin market would have to sell their Bitcoin and then trade it for the altcoin. But now they can leverage the Bitcoin, take loans out on it, and then participate in the altcoin market. This creates obviously more volatility within the actual altcoin market and less volatility within Bitcoin, which is what we saw there. But now we're seeing that capitulation start to happen. And I think that as far as what we're looking at, I don't think that altcoin season is canceled. I don't think that the Bitcoin cycle is canceled. Now, I do still stand behind the idea that because of the sheer number of alternative cryptocurrencies, specifically in the form of tokens on Solana, I think that we will have less alternative cryptocurrencies be successful, right? Now, when we're looking at them, what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for use, specifically not just use case, because use case doesn't mean shit unless somebody is actually using it, right? So what has to happen? Well, you have to look at the actual amount of use on those blockchains as well. And we want to see previous cycle participation, right? So things like Ethereum, even though, right, we're not a big fan of proof of stake here on this channel, I think it will damage ultimately the highs that Ethereum can achieve in an altcoin cycle. But it does have use. It is being utilized. It has multiple cycles under its belt. It's going to have some sort of inflow into it. Things like XRP will, just because of the name behind it. Multiple cycle, once again, hasn't hit an all-time high. Things that are questionable to me right now is like Solana and Caspa, because it is their first cycle. So I don't know what those will necessarily be at the end of the day, as an example, just because we don't have previous cycle data to really work with on those necessarily, right? But you could expect, at least some sort of breaking of their bear market highs, right? And I think that could take place in general. But here's the thing. Half of y'all aren't going to be here by the time it pumps up. Yes, we've already lost average viewership previously, 700 live viewers Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time here. And now we're streaming one time a week at 6 p.m. on Monday and 130 people show up. So we've already lost a huge chunk of the amount of people that were watching. I mean, even all-time highs on this channel have been in the 7,000 to 10,000 live viewer range, right? This is obviously indicative of where we have to go at this point in the market. We hit that big low. We kind of pumped back up. We were getting like 300, 400 viewers. I look at the viewership because it is indicative. Like, you can line up my YouTube channel analytics and overlay the Bitcoin chart and they match up. Okay. So you can look at that. What I'm going to say here, though, is that a majority of people have to believe this is the end for us to move forward, which means I would expect drops in viewership, drops in interest, drops in Googling. A lot of people have to actually fully exit the market for it to start recovering again, because that's what happens in the cycle before things take off again. And that's really kind of what I'm sitting back and waiting and watching to see. How low does Bitcoin have to really go before you lose that next chunk of interest in the market? And once you lose that, well, then you get the big boys and the whales coming in to buy up a bunch of it at cheaper prices. Overall, like I said, you know, one, still not counting the eggs before, or the chickens before they're hatched, but also in general, we're not over it yet, because we still, as far as the timeline go, have, you know, another, what is it? It's 18 months from what was it, last April? So we have another 6 months before you say everything's out, right? And yeah, more people are coming back into the space. And there's a ton more people. Unfortunately, it's all seems to be concentrated. And that's a very good point, Slice of Life, right? We're having kind of these initial people come in. A lot of that chunk, though, is within the Solana ecosystem, right? And so, but a lot of those people are getting forced out from bad purchasing decisions, all the normal stuff you see in these cycles, right? You're seeing the pump and dumps, you're seeing the people get screwed over, you're seeing pyramid schemes getting popularized by large content creators. You're seeing all that same stuff. Then you're seeing the people get hurt by it, the market reacting to it. This is all indicative of things I've seen, you know, 3 times at this point, right? I've seen this over and over and over again. And that's why I'm not willing to just count the bull run out, right? And hopefully that also explains why we aren't seeing that altcoin. It made a lot of sense to me when I heard that analysis of like, okay, well, because there's more legitimacy within the blockchain space, specifically Bitcoin being able to be carried over on a balance sheet, etc., it means that we are not seeing the traditional go to the centralized exchange, sell the Bitcoin, buy altcoins, and so on. The other thing that happened that's extremely important that you guys need to pay attention to, go look at download numbers between Coinbase and Phantom Wallet. This is the first time we have ever seen a decentralized wallet take over downloads over a centralized exchange. Now, what does that actually mean? It means that people aren't looking at the same tired charts from the same cryptocurrencies that have been around for multiple cycles sitting around on Coinbase. They're no longer seeing that. They're no longer even going to CoinMarketCap. They literally are going to Phantom Wallet, opening that up, and that is specifically driving. Now, that's bad news for anybody that is, you know, mining, you know, older proof of work cryptocurrencies, because those coins aren't going to show up there, right? So that is something to take into account. That's a trend that's extremely important. We are not seeing the same trends we saw before. And that viewpoint that retail is getting is all driven through Phantom. It's no longer driven through Coinbase or crypto.com, etc. It's driven through the Phantom wallet. And that is a huge shift that's taken place. Now, hopefully what that means is essentially what you need to see from a layer 1 proof of work ASIC resistant cryptocurrency is they need to get, number one thing they need to do is get on Phantom. You need, like, Ergo needs to be on Phantom. I mean, great, cool, there's Nautilus Wallet. Nobody gives a shit about Nautilus Wallet. Nobody's downloading it. That's the reality, okay? These are the things you need to pay attention to. I mean, even MetaMask is nowhere close, right? You need these integrations that are going to put you at the front of the App Store. That's the thing you need to pay attention to. That's just the way it is, dude. But you know who says they're getting into cryptocurrency now and Bitcoin? I found this hilarious. Peter Schiff made a tweet, said, "None of the Bitcoin in my strategic reserve acquired at no incremental cost to myself using my budget neutral strategy will be sold. It will show why a Bitcoin reserve is a bad idea. I'm going down with the ship so others never get on board." And then he posted his Bitcoin address, and you'll find this hilarious. The Bitcoin address has had a total volume of $8,843. He's sent $4,421 and he's received $4,421, if this is even his wallet. So there's not a significant amount in this strategic reserve. We could do like some more chain analysis on it, but it's funny. I mean, it's just funny. Figured I'd show it to you guys. Peter Schiff has obviously been the biggest hater of Bitcoin for the longest amount of time, and obviously he's memeing here to a certain extent, but it is pretty funny to sit back and kind of watch these things take place in general, right? So I thought you guys might enjoy that. A little side note for everyone there. Grandma can't ask about how much Bitcoin to buy before the pump. I'm not sure I understand that statement. So you'd have to really go into it a little. I think I misread that maybe. We'll see. Anyways. So U.S. Customs may have thought Bitcoin miners were radio frequency devices, says Luxor. So this is a really interesting article for those that are like, you know, obviously tariffs are going to impact the availability of ASIC miners within the United States, especially in the event of a euphoric phase, right? Because the tariffs are going to increase the price, slow down shipments, and all of that. I think that is a really good possibility for used S19s and maybe even all the way back to like the T17s. It is good news for the used equipment stateside because it does mean that it's going to still hold some value in the case of a euphoric phase. But in the case of actually the US being competitive internationally with hash rate, I think it's going to be a big problem, right? But that being said, this is kind of a funny story. Thousands of Bitcoin mining machines had been reportedly seized as U.S. ports of entry since as early as September, but there's been conflicting information surrounding why. U.S. Customs and Border Protection authorities may have mistakenly seized thousands of Bitcoin miners under the impression that they were illegally imported radio frequency devices. Thousands of Chinese-made Bitcoin miners had reportedly been seized at U.S. ports of entry since around September and only began being released again as of a few weeks ago. The CBP's move to seize the Bitcoin miners came at the request of the U.S. Federal Communications Commission agency, industry players have said. However, Bitcoin mining firm Luxor Technologies Chief Operating Officer Ethan Vera, who we've had multiple interviews with on the channel, by the way, make sure you go watch those, told Cointelegraph that FCC's request was made under mistaken belief that the Bitcoin miners were radio frequency devices. Quote, "We believe the CBP and or FCC mistakenly classified Bitcoin mining ASICs as radio frequency devices, despite clear evidence to the contrary. Vera said Luxor saw the radio frequency device call out in letters it received from the CBP. Any device shipped into the U.S. that carries a radio frequency must be disclosed via an FCC 740 form. However, Vera said Bitcoin mining machines aren't designed to send out radio frequency signals. But throw on that tinfoil hat, my friends, and those devices are coming from China. Are they sneaking in radio frequency devices in our Bitcoin miners to, monitor and overthrow the United States government? Obviously a joke for the YouTube algorithm there, but fun tinfoil hat. Quote, radio frequency equipment are devices designed to transmit, receive, or manipulate radio waves. ASICs process electrical signals, but do not intentionally generate or transmit radio frequency signals, said Vera. So they are mistaken. Cointelegraph reached out to CBP for a comment, but didn't receive an immediate response. The holdup was initially understood to be related to Bitmain-related chip designer Sofgo, there we go, which caught up in a U.S. Department of Commerce investigation in October after chips like the ones it ordered in Taiwan were found in Huawei AI processors. Huawei has been under U.S. sanctions since 2019. Industry players aren't sure what the political motivations behind the seizures were or how long the situation will persist. He added that some Bitcoin mining firms have rallied behind lobbyist groups to seek a detailed explanation of the events and to determine the best path forward. The release of the Chinese-made Bitcoin miners comes as the Trump administration imposed a 10% tariff on Chinese imports. Head analyst Mitchell Askew of Bitcoin infrastructure firm Blockware Solutions said the tariffs could drive a similar dynamic to what happened in 2021, where Bitcoin application-specific integrated circuit miners prices soared. And this is kind of what I've been sitting on for quite some time. As you guys know, my strategy is to hodl silicon. And so when the prices of the S19s became reasonable, under $500, I started picking up as many as I could. In fact, I'm kind of planning on this happening, and that's my personal business strategy and not financial advice for any individual here. But, stacking those if I have to, putting them in storage, sitting on them, and waiting to see what happens. And that is really the strategy behind it. Hopefully, here for a little bit was able to bring them back online and start being a little bit profitable, but they've become unprofitable once again. Barely, right? We talked about this strategy before, but you really shouldn't be just selling your Bitcoin one time a month at the end of the month because, that's what everybody else does. And if you do that, then you sell at a loss and then you end up in a poor financial situation. Cash flow is king in this game of cryptocurrency mining, and I will still stand by that regardless of all of the, all of the other kind of ideas of essentially mining and holding. I don't think mining and holding is necessarily a great idea because how do you stay in business if you don't have cash flow? The answer to that is you don't. End of story. Every businessman knows that. Cash flow is king. Always will be. Always will be. So you had the Bitcoin bull market as a positive catalyst for ASIC demand at the same time as the COVID supply chain shock, which was a negative supply catalyst. The combination of the factors resulted in ASIC prices more than 10xing within a 12-month period. So the question is, do you guys think that will happen again? I think there's a high likelihood of that happening within the next 6 to 12 months. What do you think? Do you think it'll go up or not? Vera doesn't anticipate significant disruptions to the ASIC supply chain, however, pointing out that many Bitcoin miners imported into the US come from Southeast Asia and not China. So there is that, but of course you still have silicon shortages in general. Matteo says, this is true. Cash is king. I'm tapped out. I would love to be buying up right now on this downturn. And that is the signal you should be looking for because you are not alone in that, Daddy-o. You're not alone. And that is good news because for the bear trap to happen, for lack of a better term, people need to actually not have any capital left to keep going. Right? That's the sad fact of this entire game. Can you survive that tough time? People have to get forced out for it to continue to go up. That's just the way it is. That's the way it is in every industry, right? You see, Kielbasa also saying cashed out myself. House money is gone. Rizzo says, let's hope prices go up enough to sell ASICs. Then, like you said, buy again when prices go down. Solid strategy. And Josh says, buy the fear, sell the FOMO. The thing is like people have to run out of money, you know? Like, I'm pretty close to just being completely tapped out at this point. So it's just kind of, you know, work the day job and do what you can to survive and keep going, because that's kind of the way it's been since the beginning of time, especially in a capitalistic society, because that it's all based off of supply and demand. I mean, that is what it is. And right now, the supply is outstripping the demand because of lack of money, lack of funds. And the thing is the economy's in the shitter and nobody has money to invest into it, right? So that's really the point that it has to get to. I mean, that's why bubbles pop, right? You get to the point to where nobody can really continue to hold the market up, right? It just is what it is, right? That being said, there is more crypto mining news. So if you thought people were getting out of the game and stopping and not participating, well, you'd be wrong, because we have a new IPO from Bijin. I think that's how you say it. Blockchain. They filed for a $50 million IPO in the United States. The mining rig maker, so a shovel maker right here, has filed to go public in the US in an offering that's expected to raise around $50 million US dollars. Now, it is a Singapore-based crypto mining rig manufacturer, and they filed to go public in the US in an offering that's predicted to generate $50 million US dollars. In a February 21 filing, the US Securities and Exchange Commission said it would offer around 59.54 million Class A ordinary shares and 15.6 million Class B ordinary shares. There we go. Its registration statement also said it has applied to NASDAQ to list its Class A shares under the ticker BGIN. Bijin's, I think we'll just call it Bijin's. Bijin's filing didn't share how it would price its offering, but investment advisory firm Renaissance Capital said in a February 21st note that Bijin's initial public offering, IPO for short, could raise up to $50 million US dollars. The mining tech firm's upcoming IPO comes amid a slew of crypto firms who have planned or are rumored to be going public in the US after Donald Trump's election win, who has promised to support local crypto industry. Bijin's registration statement said the firm was founded in 2019 and has a strategic focus on alternative cryptocurrencies. It designs and sells crypto mining rigs dedicated to mining Caspa, Alephium, and Radiant, three of the biggest layer one proof of work cryptocurrencies to come out in recent history. Of course, we're still sitting by waiting to see where those head in the future. All of them with drastically different strategies, right? That's something to take into note. I would spread and have spread out between all three of them, because essentially the idea is Caspa is extremely quick emissions. Caspa is essentially going to be a lotto ticket. It's either going to skyrocket or go to nothing, just because it's either not going to be able to maintain security based off its block rewards, or that's going to drive price up. Those are the only two options for Caspa, right? Alephium, on the other hand, has a pretty standard emission schedule, but has really adapted on the side of technology to keep up with Caspa. And then Radiant, I mean, unfortunately, Radiant's just falling behind. But what Radiant does have that's really interesting is the photonic ecosystem and the minting of tokens. That's the thing I like about Radiant. I have the GOAT token over there. I still think that there's value there, because the biggest problem with the token ecosystem, and I'm just going to say this, the reason why I like it, the only reason, because obviously their whole dealings with their underhanded dealings with, I'm going to condemn that, with the entity was just disgusting. And the Dragon Ball miners and all of that, right? Don't like it. Not a fan. However, they are the only ones that provide a real world value to the tokens being minted on their blockchain, which is unique and gives it value from that perspective solely. It's also cheap as dirt right now because that one's down to like a tenth of a penny. I think Caspa is under 6 cents now. Alephium's under 30 cents now. Everything's just taking an absolute hit, right? It sold an aggregate of just under 68,000 rigs in fiscal year 2023 and had sold over 47,000 in the first 6 months of 2024. BGen added it currently hosts over 4,020 mining rigs for its customers, 330 of which are in facilities in Nebraska and Iowa. Meanwhile, its subsidiaries operates 33,862 active mining rigs across the U.S., with a further 12,000 non-operating rigs in facilities or warehouses in the U.S. and Hong Kong. BGen said in the 2022 fiscal year that it generated substantially all of our revenue from cryptocurrency mining. It added it started selling its own designed mining machines in April of 2023, a business that contributed to over 85% of its revenue that fiscal year. It added the money raised from a public offering would be partly used to fund an increase in its research and development. Other crypto-focused companies are gearing up for a potential IPO. Crypto-friendly trading platform eToro shared on February 12th that it had confidently submitted draft plans to the SEC relating to a proposed IPO with the number of shares and their price range to be determined. Crypto custody services from BitGo is also reported to be in talks for a potential public launch. Now, here's the question. Who is BGen? You guys might like this one. Let's see if it'll come up. You guys like that one, huh? So really, this announcement is public offering for Iceriver, boys. So if you guys were wondering, yes, it looks like Iceriver is going public and getting investment to build stateside, which is pretty big news, I think, overall, because we do need chip manufacturers stateside. It will alleviate those tariff issues as well, hopefully. But yeah, it's Iceriver, and that is what that article is covering. BGen is Iceriver. So now you can draw those two lines together because obviously, you know, Iceriver is mainly talked about in the much smaller crypto mining space. And when you see them talked about in, you know, large publications like Cointelegraph, you're going to want to be making those correlations, right? So there you go. And Just Looking Around says that's what the tariffs were for. There you go. I mean, I just report the news, buddy. So I did want to bring this up. I haven't listened to it yet. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to listen to it sometime during my drive this week. I think it's supposed to be short. We can watch the quick video maybe, but there is, so if you guys aren't familiar, I guess a little backstory, right? There was a token on the Solana blockchain called Anti, and it was essentially an AI version of John Mcaffee, and it was promoted by his wife, Janice, and basically a lot of people call it a scam. The idea was to build an AI version of John Mcaffee and then to also build some access to things like eSIMs that you can buy on the Solana blockchain, gift cards, etc. Nothing too big there. They released those, which was obviously cool, I think, in general. And then here in this one, it's really interesting because they have released the first AI podcast. I'm pretty bullish on it as far as like, I just like John Mcaffee. I like this whole idea in general. So the episode's up. If you want to go listen to it. I don't think we can actually play it here or anything like that because it does go through Spotify. And I don't think I'm logged in on this system via Spotify. This one is apparently covering your data being harvested and the loss of privacy. and how the system is tightening its grip and most people don't even notice. I have to say I agree with this, so I will love going down this tinfoil AI rabbit hole. As you guys may know, I'm very outspoken against projects like the Picoin, in particular the KYC that's being forced to mint it, along with some of the MLM practices combined into it. I'm not a big fan of that direction of cryptocurrency. That's because I grew up in a different time in cryptocurrency. I grew up in the time where cryptocurrency was surrounded and propped up by cypherpunks like John Mcaffee, and I learned good principles surrounding cryptocurrency. So no, I won't stand by and stay quiet while people pump shit like pie. Sorry, not going to do it. You can get mad as you want about it. I don't care if you invest in it, but I'm still not going to say it's good. It's not good. The point was the antithesis of that. And to sit by and just say, no, this is okay, is wrong at its very core. It's not what crypto's here to do. It just isn't. Anyways, I'm excited about this one. But yeah, I mean, the thing is everybody's focused on number go up. They don't look at cryptocurrency from the perspective of personal autonomy and sovereignty and personal responsibility. They don't anymore. And we are losing it. So the premise behind this podcast is perfect. And it couldn't come at a better time. Let's talk about GPUs. So we had an announcement for the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5050, and it has to be probably the most disappointing announcement I have seen in a long time. I mean, it's absolutely terrible. Give me 1 second, boys. Okay. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So as you guys can see, we already have the tech power up specifications. I will add a secondary note to this. This particular GPU has been rumored to come in at $300. $300. What do you get for $300? What do you You get 2060 super performance, you get GDDR6, you get a TDP of 130 watts, and you get a bandwidth of 224 gigabytes a second. So basically on Ergo, you're going to be looking at getting 30 mega hash a second. This is pretty bad. You're going to build 10, 12 card rigs with them. Go for it, Bad Cat. Fantastic. I mean, to put that in perspective from a mining perspective too, you can get CMP 175 HXs from Coastal Crypto for like $400 right now. Shouldn't that be a 5030, says Riz. Actually, let's look up 3050 specs, right? So RTX 3050 specs. I would have expected it to at least get GDDR6X. It has the same exact memory configuration as a 3050. It's pretty bad. You are getting the 4 nanometer FinFET from TSMC. It will be technically on the Blackwell architecture, but I mean, like, so here's the target market for a 50 series, right? Typically the target market for a 50 series for me is a home theater PC that will play old video games in my Steam library. Things like The Dark Knight. The problem is that the 50 series has removed physics, okay? So this card won't even run the games that I would buy it to run. Because the 5090 can't even run the physics games over 30 FPS. So this is like the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen released from a company, just in general. It's terrible. It's so bad, dude. You can't even get the physics for, you know, a 15-year-old game. It's ridiculous, man. Now, the RX 9070 came out. I have not picked one up. All right. I'm sorry. Look, I'm capitulating along with everyone else. Okay. Thought things are going to be good. I could pick up the 9070, maybe pick up a 5070 for testing. And then Bitcoin was like, you know what I'm going to do? Dump into the night and keep dumping so that your hosting bill is all sucked up, my friend. And that's just frankly what happened. I ain't gonna lie, I am capitulating along with y'all. So that's why I don't have a 9070 right now. Hopefully I'll figure that out later. Thanks to everybody that supports me on locals. Whatever revenue we get from locals is what goes into buying equipment for testing on the channel. I did get a little cool thing though in the mail. I saw a notice from Coastal Crypto that I got a new thing shipped to me. And so I think coming to the channel will be official testing for the CMP 170HX on this channel. So you can look forward to that. But let's get back into the RX 9070. So the RX 9070, let's start with the 9070 base model, right? Already has some hash rate numbers from hashrate.no. Now keep in mind, all of these numbers will be software and the tunes probably won't be fully in, right? But the big one, of course, is going to be Kapow, ProgPow. That's really what we're looking at with this particular card. The 4070 is getting 41 mega hash a second, and that is going to be at 230 watts. So let's go ahead and open up the coin in particular. Can I do that from here? Let's go ahead and do it over here then. So let's go coins. Let's do KY Jelly. There we go. I don't know why they want to correct everyone to call it KY as if that's a good name. I'm sorry. So bad. So we have an efficiency of currently showing of what is the efficiency showing here? 0.18 mega hash a second per watt. And we are, that's just, it can't be tuned in at this point because it's losing to everything, even the 7000. No, it's better than the 7000 series apparently. So 6000 series is still top of the barrel. I mean, I kind of predicted that. Like, what was my prediction on this one? Hold on. I know I just did it. We have too many videos, boys. Right there. 35. Okay. 35 mega hash a second was my prediction for the XT. So I'm a little off. Okay. I bet you when it gets tuned in, I will be right on point. I'm going to say that right now. Once you tune it in to its best efficiency, I bet I'm on point. Place your bets. Let me know what you guys think. I bet I will be close. So right now, though, obviously not looking fantastic on that one in general. We got Conflux. And so that's going to be the Octopus algorithm at 77 mega hash a second. Let me get that over here for you guys right here at 229 watts. And that is going to put an efficiency of 0.34 mega hash a second per watt. So let's go ahead and pull that up. Let's go on over to the Conflux page over here and take a look. Benchmarks. And that's going to throw it pretty much, what, down here with the 6000 series. So obviously still, NVIDIA at the end of the day for that one in particular. And then we got, who said I don't really care about, Fish Hash 27.05 mega hash a second at 178 watts for an efficiency of 0.15 mega hash a second per watt. If I recall, that's not going to be very good either. That's about half the efficiency of any of these. That throws it way here at the bottom. I think that they're not getting these tuned in at all. I'm going to take a bet and say that they're letting these things run full bore right now. That's just my feeling on this in particular. Now, Autolicos V2 as well is going to be 80 mega hash a second, 179 watts. I think I called that one too over here, but we'd have to go look. We knew that just from the bandwidth, so that was an easy prediction. It's at 0.45 mega hash a second per watt. Not tuned in, that's not too bad. Well, no, that is bad, right? No, that's bad. If that was if that Ethereum or ET hash, that'd be good. It's but no, that's terrible. You got to easily be over 1 mega hash a second per watt on Ergo, or it's not even worth even tuning in. So there's that. Let's take a look at the 9070 XT. Ironfish at 27 mega hash a second, 182 watts, putting it the 0.15. So it pretty much matched right up there. We have Block X with Autolicos V2 at the 78.8 mega hash a second at 181 watts with that 0.44 mega hash a second per watt. And let's see if Ravencoin was done. Yeah, Capal's right here, 40 mega hash a second, so the same. I have a feeling none of these are accurate. I'm going to say ProgPow gets an efficiency of, what are we going to say? After we tune it in, let's see. So if we do whatever, after you tune it in, I'm going to say we get 0.22 mega hash a second per watt, something like 35 mega hash a second per watt, right? Yeah, so if we do calculator and we do, let's see, so that would be 35. Let's see. Times 220, right? No. Times 22. No. Times 2.2. I can do math. Give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, I'm going to say tuned in like 35 mega hash a second at 80 watts. On the 9070. 9070 XT will be a little worse. That's my prediction. I'm going to stand by it once we tune it in. Schneidys, welcome to the stream. Good to see you here. So I thought this is going to be interesting. Are you guys familiar with all of the handhelds that are coming to the market? You got obviously started with the Steam Deck, and then we got the Asus ROG, a bunch of different ones, and then we had that blockchain one that we talked about, the Sui Play XO that's coming. But now we have a big player in the game, And this big player really has a chance to completely destroy everything we've worked for so hard in the Linux space that Valve has really powered down. But Microsoft is planning to release a handheld for 2025 and then a new console in 27. So Microsoft is developing a new Xbox branded handheld gaming device set for late 2025 alongside a next generation Xbox console planned for 2027, according to Windows Central report. So we have the new report here if you want to take a look at it. So it says, here's your first glimpse at Xbox next generation hardware plans, and some parts are being executed more quickly than you might think. The Series X and S generation has been a bit of an odd one. Microsoft's Xbox console hardware sell-through has declined quarter over quarter for some time, but Xbox's addressable monthly active user base has been skyrocketing. Now, do you guys know the reason behind this? Right? The reason behind this is because they have Xbox Game Pass. And Xbox Game Pass works for PC gamers as well as Xbox consoles. And the important part to understand about that is that with the skyrocketing in popularity of Twitch.tv and, to be considered a serious gamer, you're going to be playing on PC. Well, if you can just get that Game Pass on PC and get all the Xbox games, obviously that's the way to go. And that's probably the direction we're going to head more and more and more and more, just by nature of essentially subscription services being extremely popular, right? And hardware becoming kind of ubiquitous, And that's what makes this strategy probably extremely important, is because you'll have a handheld device that has access to your Game Pass games. Right now, you can only access Game Pass games through either a Windows-powered handheld like the Asus ROG, and it's very clunky in my humble opinion, or if you're on the Linux side that has the Steam OS that's pretty smooth and stuff like that, you have to use a workaround where you're playing the cloud version and you're streaming it from the cloud. Cloud's not quite there yet, especially from a latency perspective. So that was owing to the purchase of Activision Blizzard. I mean, obviously part of that, I think, it's a fair point to say also they have the World of Warcraft subscriptions now, which is going to help immensely. I'm wondering if they're going to combine that with like the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. That would probably be a pretty important thing to do. Says Microsoft has been putting its exclusive console games like Forza Horizon 5 onto PlayStation to help grow the profitability of its business. In the near term, addressing users where they are is far more cost effective than what Microsoft would need to spend to acquire new Xbox console users potentially. However, the strategy has been questioned for the long-term damage it might do to Xbox console hardware. Microsoft appears keen to continuing servicing its legacy Xbox audience with new hardware regardless. And over the past few months, I have been working to figure out exactly what it might look like, and here's what I've learned. First up, Microsoft is working with a PC gaming OEM, either Asus, Lenovo, MSI, or Razer, on an Xbox-branded gaming handheld, surprisingly slated for later in 2025 if the plans are met. Now, if we had to take a guess on who it's going to be, MSI already has a handheld. Asus already has a handheld. Lenovo has their Legion handheld. So the only one that doesn't have a handheld yet is going to be Razer. So I'm going to guess Razer. And make sure you guys head on over to Twitch if you're having issues viewing. Is everybody on Twitch still viewing just fine? All right. There we go. So this device will likely serve, at least in part, as a research experience for Microsoft. I expect the handheld will test new Windows 11 device aware. I expect Microsoft will leverage widgets on the Xbox Game Bar on PC for controlling things like TDP and fan speed, while hopefully having more streamlined OS experience for controller use. But of course, existing PC gaming OEMs will benefit from these efforts as well. But the research will also help with Microsoft's further out plans. Because indeed, our sources also indicate that Microsoft's internal successor to the Xbox Series X and S platform has been fully greenlit all the way up to CEO Satya Nadella. I always forget how to pronounce that. But for now, I understand that Microsoft's next generation hardware plans include a premium successor to the powerful Xbox Series X alongside its own Xbox gaming handheld, which will be apparently 2025. It says here, though, that apparently it will be 2027 as well. I don't know which one it is for the handheld. I've heard reports of 27 and 25 here already since we read it. Says it seems that the next gen Xbox consoles will be closer to Windows than ever before, reducing the amount of work developers have to commit to when porting from PC. I understand that they will continue to support backward compatibility with legacy Xbox games too, however. A project team specifically designed to promote backwards and forwards compatibility for existing Xbox games has been previously announced as well. And there's every reason to presume AI will have a role to play in next gen as well as Xbox cloud capabilities. Now, I don't know if you guys have messed with the AI in the latest frame gen from NVIDIA on the 50 series. I was planning on maybe doing a video on it because I think it's content worthy, especially even if it's the crypto space, AI does play a part in that. And the frame gen AI is pretty miserable, in my humble opinion, as far as like the latency is absolutely awful. And the accuracy from a visual fidelity perspective is pretty bad as well. So I think dedicated hardware is still going to play a huge role within gaming, just because I don't think that we're quite there with upscaling technology, especially in a competitive gaming scene, right? So your Call of Duties, Counter-Strikes, Rocket Leagues, that sort of thing. I just don't think it's quite there from a latency perspective. Some chat is asking, do you think this will be an AMD device? Almost positively will be an AMD device, primarily due to the fact that AMD's just leagues ahead in the onboard video graphics, and the successful handhelds to date have been implementing, of course, the AMD hardware. And I think from a handheld perspective, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there is a certain amount of exclusivity that Nintendo has for the Switch with NVIDIA on their handheld devices. And so I think there would be a competitive issue there that probably, let's face it, AMD on the mobile scene is better anyways right now. That's just the way it is. Technically the upscaling technology from NVIDIA has better fidelity, but FSR 4 came a long way. So there is that. Let me know what you guys think about this. I think I was pretty bullish on Game Pass until I started seeing the results of that in practice. And so we saw this happen with Netflix, and I probably should have seen it coming. I missed it. But what we saw with Netflix, for example, is what's happening in the gaming space with Game Pass. We had initially high quality traditional content provided in an ad-free manner for a subscription service that you could stream into your home. And then they started kind of creating their own content. And at first it was pretty high quality. And then it became more about quantity over quality. And now Netflix is just flooded with a ton of shit, right? And I'm starting to notice that trend on Game Pass in general. So when Game Pass first came out, what was that first game from Bethesda? Was it Bethesda? I think it was Bethesda. No, not Bethesda. What's that other RPG one? Because this is important. Because I have, there's a specific thing. What was the name of, Avowed, right? So Avowed, so Obsidian, which is a great studio, released initially when they got taken over by Microsoft. They released a game called The Outer Worlds. And The Outer Worlds was an amazing title. And so it was available on Game Pass, extremely high quality, a lot of fun, good storytelling. I was like, yes. But I didn't realize that we would follow the way of Netflix. And now we got Avowed. Now, for those of you that haven't played Avowed, it's not a terrible game by any means, but it is extremely stripped down when you compare it to even The Outer Worlds. Just less things to do, less things to interact with, less physics in the game world. This is the route that we are taking further and further, and it has me a little concerned with the direction that gaming is going with subscription services, even to the point to where now I have, by and large, canceled all of my subscription services, and if I want a game, I just buy it. Because what are the best games that are coming out recently? They're games that you pay full price for, right? Or are free to play releases, right? So, because I could say Path of Exile 2, right? Monster Hunter Wilds is the most recent release that I'm playing a lot of. Those aren't coming out on Game Pass. Everything that's come out on Game Pass has been substantially stripped down compared to the previous version of that game, right? Stalker 2. I loved it at first, and then as I played it more, I realized it didn't have the depth that the original Stalker had. Same thing happened with Avowed, just didn't have it, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with like where the Game Pass is headed and all of that. I think from the perspective of like where I would like to see it go, like with the Sui Play stuff, is the Sui Play is going to be really interesting from the perspective of ownership over titles, and I really want to see where that's going. Okay, so chat is saying that KY rug pulled. I don't know how that. Let's see. So give me evidence. So I'll go to CoinMarketCap first, but everything's down, so I don't think I'm going to be able to determine that necessarily. It does have the big dip that everything else had. Trade Ogre's at 8 cents. But what did they do? How much is it down overall? 30 cents to 8 cents? To me, it just seems like another one of those deals. I'm going to always say you can only make so many people millionaires before someone realizes it. Just saying. Just saying. Another BitAxe miner did hit the jackpot with a Bitcoin block. A BitAxe, a low-cost open-source Bitcoin mining device, has successfully mined another Bitcoin block, demonstrating the potential for small-scale home-based mining operations to compete in the Bitcoin network. This event is where a miner using BitAxe hardware found block 80. Is it 887,212 with a hash rate significantly lower than the network's difficulty. It has sparked discussions on the viability and impact of solo mining with minimal resources. The block was mined with a share of difficulty 719.98 T and far exceeding the current network difficulty of 112, highlighting the extraordinary luck involved in this achievement. Now, for all of those that are not informed on this in particular. Bitcoin has a difficulty that scales with the amount of hash rate on the network to keep the block times down to the 10 minutes. And basically, a blockchain will speed up or slow down depending on how much hash rate's on the network. And if you have like a lottery device or something like that, you're basically competing with everybody else. And so you're essentially playing the lottery. These devices have gotten extremely popular. To me, it's the mining equivalent to a meme coin. And so I'm not a big fan of it. So essentially what I'm saying is a BitX is essentially a meme coin on the Solana blockchain for miners. It is the thing you do if you're not a serious person and you're not actually trying to be successful within cryptocurrency mining. It's fine if you want to buy one for fun. That's the way I see it. It's not for serious people. Okay? It's just not. It's not. We have 2 miner releases for the week. SRB miner released 3 days ago, adding support for the 9000 series GPUs and increasing performance of the RX 5000 series for Walla Hash, Cryptix Hash, Nexel Hash, and Asterix Hash. We also have a release from Rigel Miner, adding miner efficiency improvements for Zealous Hash. And this is Rigel Miner version 1.21.2, and it was released yesterday. I have yet to do any particular testings with any of these particular miners, but if you have, let me know in the chat if we're seeing significant improvement. There you go. All right, so we are going to move on to some reactions for today. The first one's going to be reacting to Sebs Fintech, and it is essentially a video called "People Get This Wrong About Dogecoin Merge Mining." So I wanted to educate myself and you all and see what he has to say about it. Plus, I want to support his channel. So it's linked down below. Make sure you go leave a like, and let's take a listen.
Miners is that they mine the script algorithm. So a massive advantage of Dogecoin miners is that they mine the script algorithm, which means you get to merge mine loads of different coins at the same time at no extra power consumption. Or in other words, you essentially get a bunch of different extra coins for free when you mine. Now, It's been a pretty common misunderstanding that the only 2 coins you can get when merge mining are Dogecoin and Litecoin. But recently it's become more and more common knowledge
like
that
5,000
it's way more coins than that which are being merge mined. And actually, the big pools have essentially just been stealing all of those extra coins from us miners. And this has become more obvious thanks to the rise in...
They're doing that with Bitcoin too right now, by the way.
Popularity of pools like Mining Dutch and Zerg Pool, who actually do pay out all of those other merge mineable coins to us miners. Take Mining Dutch for example, where you actually get 23 different coins when merge mining with your script ASICs. Or do you?
Is Bitcoin or BitX worth the $200?
Do pay out all of the coins you mine.
Well, is a scratch off worth $20? Depends on who you are.
I have noticed that most people actually misunderstand and overestimate just how much better it actually is. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still way better than any of those other pools that just pocket all of those extra coins. But there is one big misunderstanding about how Mining Dutch actually works going around. So what that misunderstanding is and how that affects your mining is what we'll be looking into today in this video, after a quick word from our sponsor. Coin Mining Central, which is an online store for ASIC miners with an over 6-year track record of
Scratch House are for the schools. Yeah, and so are my taxes, and it's not working.
Overwhelmingly positive customer reviews. They have all the latest and most profitable miners, from silent home miners to full-size ASICs. They can even provide immersion cooling systems and offer great bulk pricing on ASICs. Based in the UK,
go use Seb's thing.
Coin Mining Central prioritizes great customer support, strict personal detail protection, and free worldwide shipping on all miners with no additional payment fees at checkout. You can also utilize their loyalty and referral programs to save on your next purchase. Plus, use my link down in...
Well, it works for 1/3 of the kids that can read and write. What would you say if the 2/3 of the kids that can't read and write are the ones funding the kids, the 1/3 that learn to read and write? The demographic of the 2/3 are the people that buy lotto tickets.
Any video description and code SEB at checkout for a roughly $130 discount on every miner in your order priced over £1,000. So check out that link below together with the code to save on your purchase. So I want to start this video off by just quickly giving a little shout out to the guys over at Mining Dutch because, well, they didn't sponsor this video or anything. You just saw that this video is actually sponsored by Coin Money Central. But what they did do is they actually sat down and had a pretty long chat with me just asking all of these questions about what's going on kind of under the hood and how the whole thing works with merge mining on their pool and so on. So I just want to say a little thank you to them for actually taking the time to kind of help me wrap my head around it all so that I could then make this video to explain it all to you guys. And with that in mind, let's just chat a little bit about how merge mining actually does work. And essentially what is going on is you're really mining one coin, which we'll be referring to as the parent coin. And then you can mine what's referred to as child chains underneath that. So an example of that would be you would be mining Litecoin as the parent coin, and then you could mine Bells and Dogecoin and Dingo coin and so on as child chains underneath that. Essentially, those child chains are all kind of just piggybacking off of the hash rate that you are providing for the Litecoin network. Now, the big misconception here is that all coins that use the script algorithm can be either a parent chain or a child chain, which unfortunately just isn't true. It's actually on a coin by coin case if, you know, that coin project actually want to allow for merge mining as a child chain underneath a other.
Now, I've never understood why you wouldn't want to allow for it, because in theory it always increases security, right? Or do I misunderstand that? Maybe he'll talk about that.
Parent coin being mined. And while you can mine as many child chains as you want underneath a parent chain, you can only ever mine one parent chain. So essentially what that actually means is that you can only ever mine one of the coins that don't allow for being a child chain at once. Or in other words, the coins that only allow you to mine them directly as a parent chain are only able to be mined one at a time. So for example, Litecoin is one of those coins that only allow you to mine it as a parent chain, and Digibyte is another. That means that you will never be able to merge.
And Digibyte wouldn't be able to in the first place because of the way it was designed for multi-algorithm, right?
Merge mine Digibyte and Litecoin at the same time with your script miners. But now a lot of you might be saying, hey, I've been merge mining script on, you know, pools like Mining Dutch, and I have been earning both Litecoin and Digibyte. So what are you talking about, Seb? And don't worry, I'll get into explaining all of that. Well, now I guess. So if we have a look on the Mining Dutch website here, we can see these are all of the script algorithm.
Dark mode, turn it off!
Coins that are mineable through their pool, and as you can see, it is a lot of different coins here, but the only coins that are actually able to be merged mined as a child chain under a parent chain are the ones with the word merged here. So you can see that's Beers coin, Bells, Bonk coin, Craft coin, Dingo, Doge, you know, being the most prominent one obviously, and so on. But all of these other ones, like, you know, your Junk coin, your Litecoin, your Digibyte, you know, the ones that I already mentioned, are all coins that are actually just able to be mined as the parent chain, meaning you cannot be mining them at the same time.
Parallel assets are inherently different than merge mining tactics. So parallel assets on Flux, you're mining, you're basically getting paid out tokens on that chain, right? You're not actually merge mining multiple chains. It's not even from a technical perspective, it's not the same thing at all. Like at all. And the thing about that means too, by the way, is that you need those parallel assets to have liquidity. for it to work, which means that you need significant liquidity invested into the Flux ecosystem for it to really function at the level that merge mining script would be.
You can only mine them at the same time as the merged ones, but the ones without that little merged marker on their next to their name cannot be mined at the same time. But so how come
is Flux unique? As far as parallel assets, that idea technically comes from Komodo.
You have been getting, multiple,
but Flux is the only one that's like it's viable on right now, if that makes sense,
of these different parent chains then if they are not being merged mined. And well, that is because Mining Dutch actually profit switches for you between these parent chains, because per default, if you just point your script hash rate to their script pool, their regular script pool, you're actually pointing it to what they call their multiport, which you can see is this very first one here. And if you look at this for long...
Oh, and for those that don't know, I guess just for the future, Flux is a cryptocurrency and they offer something called parallel assets. And those parallel assets get paid to the same wallet that your Flux is on, and they are essentially just like a token on the Flux blockchain, to explain it in the simplest terms. So similar to like if you have a token on the Ethereum blockchain, it's still an ERC20 token. So even though it might be like Ergo or whatever, like it's going to be wrapped in that form, so you still have to get that out to the main chain for it to be working.
Enough, you can see how the coin here is actually going to change. It's, the multiport is currently pointing to Digibytes, which is the most profitable.
Yeah, I know Flux has done some work on as far as like ways around that liquidity issue. I haven't looked at it in some time. Last I looked at it, yeah, like as John mentioned, they have that ability to adapt to different like centralized exchange and decentralized exchange infrastructure to essentially allow you on the back. I mean, that's why Zelcore is centralized. For Zelcore to work with parallel assets, it has to be a centralized service to a certain degree.
Parent chain at this moment, but it will swap between the different ones. I'm not sure exactly how often, but as often as it makes sense to do so in order to make sure you are getting the most profitable parent chain while merge mining on script mining. And you can see here actually which coins it does swap between when mining on the multiport. And that is all of these parent chains that have this blue star here. You can see that when I hover over that, it says multiport enabled. And that means that those are the parent chains that it will swap between when merge mining. So you can see you have your cat coin there, you have your Digibyte.
That's cool that they mark it.
You have your Litecoin there, and so on. And I gotta be honest, I think this is a pretty genius way of Mining Dutch to do this, especially with their sort of built-in auto conversion to whatever payout coin you want. Because for those of you who might not know, if you go to your
hey, annoying
sort of profile on the Mining Dutch pool here, you can actually enable this lazy mining conversion feature, I suppose, which essentially just lets you auto convert all of your mined coins into whatever coin you actually want to get your payouts in. So if you have a script miner, but you just want to get as much Dogecoin as possible, sure, you could, merge mine just like.
I would recommend not getting Dogecoin because it's inflationary. Like, get Litecoin Litecoin right now, right? It's all about that Litecoin.
Litecoin and Dogecoin on some other pool, and then swap the Litecoin yourself to Doge, and you get a good amount that way. But with this, not only are you getting, you know, the small little trickle of all of the extra merge mineable coins, the extra child chains, and those being converted to Doge for you, but it's also swapping what parent chain you are mining, which means that you're kind of maximizing that parent chain part of your merge mining as well to eke out just that little bit more mining profitability to get as much Dogecoin in this example as possible. Now, of course, you can choose other coins, not just Dogecoin. They have this whole list of different coins you can be, you know, auto converting your payouts into. Now, just to kind of give you a visual example of what I actually mean here, you can see I have my little mini
I'll
Doge
answer your
3
Casper
miner
question in a second.
on Mining Dutch here, and I'm getting just around 700 mega hash of hash rate here consistently, and have been so for the
I talk about it a lot though.
past long while here. So if I just go to my earnings here and I change the date to, let's say, the 9th, which is yesterday as of recording this, and I hit change period, we can see here that I got both some digibyte, about 7.4 digibyte, and then 0.00034, let's call it Litecoin. Now, a quick way of just checking if what I'm saying here actually makes any sense is just go and look on a Litecoin mining profit calculator and say I had 0.7 gigahash of hash rate, and I want to see how much I, you know, should have gotten with that amount of hash rate for the last 24 hours here. So let's hit calculate, and we can see that I should have got 0.001 Litecoin in that period if I would have been just straight, you know, mining Litecoin as the parent chain for that whole time. But obviously I only got about pretty much exactly a third of that, which means that 2/3 of the time I was mining during this date, a different parent chain was actually more profitable. And it looks here that that was, you know, among others, Digibyte, which I got a good chunk of, for example. So I hope that visualizes what I mean with, it's not that you're getting, you know, all of these different parent chains at the same time. It's kind of jumping between them, you know, profit switching between them automatically, but you are getting all of the merge mineable coins, the child chains, for free throughout the whole 24-hour period you are mining. Anyway, I hope this has been really helpful for you to kind of wrap your head around.
That was good. I think you explained it all pretty well.
Algorithm actually works and kind of how you can use it to your advantage. Now, before you go, I actually do have two little recommendations that I want to just fit into this video. And the first one is obviously, if you want to mine and keep your coins safe, I really want to recommend the Tangem wallet, which has, you know, support for a bunch of the different script mineable coins, you know, like your Dogecoin and Litecoin. And they have given me...
I don't recommend Tangem wallets because they're not air gapped. And I don't think that that's the safest way to hold your crypto. But if you want a warm wallet and you're okay with it, yeah, go ahead and use Sebs.
A special discount code for you guys that you can use. It is just code SEB, which gives you 10% off on any of their kits here. Tangem is a really great wallet. I'm actually the one who reached out to them in order to sort of get some sort of partnership going so that I could provide you guys with a discount code. I think it's a fantastic wallet that really, you know, finds the perfect balance between security, ease of...
Well, it's not air gapped, right, Aether? So if anybody... It has the most likelihood for being compromised.
Use and actually have good support.
You can have an app on your phone that controls your hardware wallet that's still air gapped.
Support for coins that us miners use.
Tangem's just not one of them.
Wallet and the discount code down in the video description. And my second recommendation.
What Tangem did really well is that they basically had massive marketing push.
here, just because
And
I know
Caspa.
I'll get asked otherwise, is what Doge miners to kind of actually look at and go for right now. And it's a little bit
Lipple
tricky because it's such a popular
a really good
algorithm
air
with
gapped
the Swift
option
mining
Integra.
algorithm, and there is a big range of miners. Obviously, if you want the best of the best, well, you're looking at the Bitmain L9, which is, you know, the big boy, the latest generation, and it also costs accordingly as...
I mean, if you're comparing Zelcore to Tangent, sure. I mean, everything's a sliding scale, Traveler.
$11,000 for kind of the sort of weakest version available, with it going up to $12,000 for the 17.
I don't really pay attention too much to what Tangent adds, but you could probably Google it real quick.
Gigahash model. You want to take one little step down and go for something a little more economical. You have the AlphaPex DG1 Plus, which is also a great miner, which a little bit finds that more of a balance between price and hash rate, in my opinion, but obviously a little bit less power efficient, you know, in terms of just hash rate you are getting per watt of power used. Then if you are more of a home miner like myself, you might not be able to go for one of these, you know, big boy miners that are loud, generate a lot of heat, and pull over 3,000 watts of power. Could go for the AlphaPex DG Home 1, which still give you about, you know, a little bit over 2 gigahash of hash rate for a very much more reasonable price, especially if you are going for the May batch, which I just noticed today is actually under $2,000.
It's just all
so
advertisements.
Pretty good sort of price per gigahash there as well, you know, relatively speaking. And then finally, if you want something even a bit smaller and more reasonably priced than that, there is of course the Goldshell Mini Doge 3 Plus, which has the built-in power supply. This really is just sort of a plug and play little miner. It's a bit over $700, and
no, you got to get the Voss Coin Special Edition.
Works, you know, on regular 120 volt, and of course it's the cheapest one in this little list here, but it's also the most expensive per hash rate. So, you know, value for money, you know, the most hash per dollar, probably looking at the L9, which also has the best power efficiency. And then you're kind of taking a step down in both value for money and power efficiency the further down you go, except obviously the G1 Plus has way better value in terms of price per mega hash compared to the L9. And then you have the small at-home friendly ones that are, you know, further down.
There you go, guys. Go like his video. I think he explained it real well, as far as like the difference between parent and child chains and why you're getting paid out, you know, in some parent chains on mining Dutch. So thanks, Seb. Thanks for the sub. All right, so I think, yeah, we have one more. I'll save this reaction for tomorrow. I think we're done. I gotta get ready for bed and shit. You know what I mean, boys? Thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe, notification bells down below. Don't forget, I am live streaming over on twitch.tv/blindrun. We are only streaming on YouTube once a week on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want to make sure you're staying up to date and getting the latest opinions and news from me, go to twitch.tv/blindrun. That's where I primarily am. Thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe, and notification bells. One more time, I'll say that. Make sure you go hit the like over on Sebs' channel. If you have something that you would like me to react to or cover, be sure to tweet it at me at @SonOfATech, and I will cover it at some point so you can get my personal viewpoint on that if you're interested in it. And don't forget, sonofatech.locals.com is where you support me. That is where I get all of the income. All of the ad revenue from YouTube right now goes to my editor, and I do not do sponsorships to remain unbiased as possible. There will always be some bias. That's just the way the world works. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next Tuesday.